Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're exploring a landmass of absolute superlatives. We are unpacking a vibrant, incredibly diverse world entirely unto itself. We're talking about Asia, literally the largest, most extreme continent on planet Earth. Okay, let's just dive right into this. 4.8 billion. Think about that number for a second. That's well over half of the entire human population. More people live inside this single continent than in the rest of the world combined. It's just massive. But hey, Asia isn't just about staggering numbers, right? With its bright, vivid landscapes, it's the cradle of ancient human civilization. I mean, from the sun-baked ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the towering Mahabodhi temple in India, and from lush green tropical rainforests to the mighty tiger, it holds this vast, completely irreplaceable treasure trove of natural resources and cultural history. So here's our explorer's itinerary for today's explainer. First up, welcome to giant Asia. Second, a patchwork of nations. Third, the roof of the world. Fourth, rivers, plateaus, and islands. And finally, a continent of extremes. Let's get to it. Jumping right into our first stop, welcome to giant Asia. The sheer macro scale of this landmass is, well, it's staggering. It covers roughly 1/3 of the total land area on Earth. It stretches all the way from the freezing Arctic Ocean up north, right down to the warm Indian Ocean in the south. And on its western edges, the boundaries get really fascinating. You've got the Ural Mountains acting as this crucial physical divider between Europe and Asia. Meanwhile, down south, the narrow Isthmus of Suez is the tiny strip of land linking this giant right to Africa. Moving on to Section 2, a patchwork of nations. Let's shift our focus from those vast physical borders to the human-drawn lines that define the political landscape today. When we zoom in from the oceans and mountains, what pops out is this incredibly vibrant patchwork of 49 distinct countries. They're basically stitched together to form a highly complex, very colorful political map. Now, to actually make sense of all these borders, geographers break the continent down into 5 major regional divisions: East Asian, Southeast Asian, South Asian, Southwest Asian, and Central Asia. But really fascinating detail here is Central Asia. A lot of these independent republics, places like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, were actually formed relatively recently. They broke away after the USSR collapsed back in 1991. And when you look at these nations side by side, the extremes are just mind-boggling. On one hand, you have Russia, standing as the absolute largest country in the world by land area. And then, contrasting sharply with that, you have the Maldives. The Maldives is made up of these tiny, beautifully colored islands in the Indian Ocean. Honestly, so small they could easily be swallowed up by a single Russian province. It's a continent of true political extremes, for sure. Okay, moving away from those rigid political boundaries, let's step into the wild, dramatic physical geography in our third section, the roof of the world. So, the heart of the continent is totally defined by the rugged, uneven terrain of the Central Highlands. Right in the center sits this massive geographical anchor called the Pamir Knot. Radiating outwards from it are these towering mountain chains, most famously, of course, the Great Himalayas. We're talking about the highest mountains on the planet here, boasting snowy peaks that literally pierce the sky at over 8,000 meters above sea level. Now, nestled right within these towering peaks, we find what are called intermountain plateaus. Basically, these are high, flat lands completely locked in and surrounded by mountain ranges. The most famous of these, the Plateau of Tibet. It sits so incredibly high up, locked between the Himalayas and the Kunlun ranges, that it's quite literally known as the roof of the world. This intense geography creates some unbelievable environmental contrasts. You could be standing in the arid, sweeping sand dunes of the Gobi Desert, which is a mid-latitude desert in Mongolia, and then travel over to the rich, beautifully green banks of the Euphrates River Valley in the Mesopotamian lowland. This one single continent hosts both harsh, dry wastelands and the ancient, life-giving alluvial soils that literally birthed early human civilization. It's like 2 different planets. And that brings us to our fourth section, rivers, plateaus, and islands. Here, we'll explore the vital water systems and landforms that keep everything moving. The water systems here operate on a scale that's almost hard to wrap your head around. The Yangtze River alone stretches 6,300 kilometers. So the crucial takeaway here is that these incredibly long rivers are the absolute lifeblood of the continent. Originating way up high in the mountains, they flow across vast distances, providing vital irrigation for crops, essential navigation routes, and massive power generation for the billions, yes, billions of people living in their basins. Now, if we look off to the east, the solid continental landmass fractures into thousands of islands. Don't be fooled. These aren't just quiet beach retreats. The island chains of Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia are highly active geological zones. They boast major world-famous volcanoes like Krakatoa and Mount Mayon. The Earth here isn't just ancient history, it is intensely active. It's quite literally shifting and erupting beneath their feet today. Let's shift gears for our final stop today, Section 5, A Continent of Extremes, where we'll unpack the intense climatic whiplash experienced across this huge landmass. And honestly, calling it climatic whiplash might be an understatement. Over in Jacobabad, Pakistan, you have some of the most blistering, unrelenting extreme heat found anywhere on the planet. But travel north to Verkhoyansk in Siberia, and your world totally freezes over. We're talking bone-chilling extreme cold where winter temperatures plummet to a deadly minus 50 degrees Celsius. It's the exact same continent, but completely opposite worlds. These wild extremes apply to water too. Mawsynram, India, is essentially drowned in a staggering 1,100 centimeters of annual rainfall. That makes it one of the wettest places on the entire globe. Contrast that directly with the barren, rain-starved Gobi Desert, which scrapes by on less than 25 centimeters of rain a whole year. It's night and day. So you might be wondering, what actually causes all this wild weather? Well, the source material identifies 4 key factors. First, its huge latitudinal extent, meaning it spans all the way from the equator up to the freezing Arctic. Second is continentality. Because the deep interior is so far from the ocean, it gets incredibly dry. Third, we have relief features. Those massive mountain barriers we looked at earlier, they physically block moisture from ever reaching the interior plains. And finally, fourth, jet streams. These are high-altitude winds that drive massive monsoon seasons. We've seen the bright, vivid diversity of its lands, the incredible scale of its rivers, and the wild extremes of its weather. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. How does living in a land of such immense geographical and climatic extremes continue to shape human civilization today? And more importantly, how will it dictate our future? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.